It's the flip man. You want some money in your hand? Flipping houses without credit or your cash. Get that bag.
Call, thank you.
Good afternoon, and welcome to the special Flipper where to talk about truck parking, an opportunity that is available to pretty much anyone, and especially when you have a source that can help bring all of this together. So I have my man Evan here, Evan Sheely from truckparkingclub.com to answer questions to try to get you going in the right direction with your truck parking investment opportunity. So how's it going, Evan?
Good. Thanks for having me on.
No problem at all, man. So just to I guess we'll assume some people that are watching this have never seen this before. If you could just go into the background of the truck, the opportunity itself, why it even exists.
Yeah, so truck parking in the United States is a major issue for truckers. There's a huge shortage. The number that goes around is there's one spot for every 10 truckers, and the average trucker takes 50 minutes to find parking. So with that, you can see that there's a huge shortage. And so ultimately, we created a company called Truck Parking Club that goes and turns locations that are not currently truck parking into truck parking, whether that's a trucking company with extra space in their yard, a vacant lot, can be a tow truck business owner that has a extra lot that never has anything in it and use that for truck parking. So what we're doing is creating more spaces and helping property owners monetize their space while also helping truckers easily find and reserve truck parking all across the U.S.
Okay. All right. With that being said, we're mainly here to answer questions that you guys have. And while we're waiting on some people to load some questions here, let's and I know it's a broad question, but give some you listed you mentioned a tow truck company, a towing company, and having extra space. Could you give some more examples of what may be some potential opportunities and what people should look for started in their local areas?
Yeah, for sure. It can really be anything that is adequate um, for trucks to drive on and park with low foot traffic, not close to active retail, active commercial, and residential properties. That's going to be kind of the starting point, and then from there, you're going to want properties that have access that trucks can access. And a lot of times that's going to be locations that maybe kind of in and around the logistics industry already. Maybe it is, we get locations like lots that are connected to scrap yards, and we get locations that maybe are long vacant commercial properties that maybe used to be commercial at some point, and for whatever reason is now just a large lot. Um, so um, eh, I would say that's kind of the overview of what type of properties, and you want to be obviously close to some, preferably a major interstate. But if not an interstate, then the main road that probably runs into an interstate at some point. But we have very rural properties that still get bookings all across the U.S. So,
Okay.
I wouldn't turn any I wouldn't immediately dismiss any location. Um,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. Some of the properties that are being sent through truck parking cash flow .com is that it may be we'll just say a shopping center, but one of the anchors is closed, but a part of the shopping center is still open, and you can correct me. I say normally that's not going to probably work. In most cases, would you say that the entire shopping center has to be closed, or they may? I guess they could possibly park in the rear or whatever. But if you can go into that.
Yeah, it's going to be a case by case basis, really. But more than likely, if there's any active retail in the area, it's going to be a no go. You don't want any place that, because you got to think that the truck isn't just gonna, it's gonna have to access the property, so it may have to drive through those areas of active retail, and that's just not gonna work.
Yeah.
So I would say it's highly unlikely, to be honest, that it would work. But you mentioned, parking in the rear. I think that is very possible that there will be available parking um, in the backside of some of those commercial properties. I think that is definitely something that could work.
Okay. What about as far as the surface of a particular property? How important is that? Because some people send over stuff that has grass, is majority grass, and that's just not going to work with those type of vehicles. Because once it may not even have to rain and it's trouble. But
Yeah,
go ahead.
yeah. So on occasion, we get properties submitted that are grass lots, and it's just not going to work. I mean, in rare instances, it might, but it's highly unlikely. So what you're looking for is going to be some type of gravel, at the least, some asphalt milling gravel type property that has really got a solid ground that's been compacted. And you're gonna know, it's gonna be pretty clear. It's gonna be pretty obvious if it's gonna work or not.
All right.
Um, and then preferably it's some type of asphalt or concrete, but a lot of our locations on our platform are gravel and asphalt millings.
Okay. All right. As far as the proximity, obviously, you would love something as far as the proximity to the freeway. Um, if it's what's the like? If it's something, well, I guess it doesn't really matter about that anyway. But um, is one space worth your time? If you can only find a space, a place with one space, would you say that's worth your time or not?
Yeah, I do. I do think it's worth your time. So we have locations that have only one space, and they can do hundreds of dollars a month, and that's not, that's something for sure.
Hmm.
So I would definitely say I wouldn't dismiss a location with only one space.
Okay, so I guess we have to think of it in terms of if someone someone buys a rental house, spends 100 grand on it in money, and they can cash flow $500, they would love it or
Yeah,
whatever. So then the way we're suggesting you go about it on a revenue share, if you could cash flow 100, $200, and you don't have anything really invested in it but your time, and obviously, the upkeep of the property, which is again your time, then it's be worth it. Well, what if you had 10 of those? Now you're talking about something that could definitely impact your monthly income and your situation financially.
yeah, exactly. I agree completely. I think you know getting a lot of getting a lot of volume um, is key to um, ultimately creating a cash flow that is really more passive than not. There is some upkeep and some operational things you'll have to do, but it is definitely not more intense than a rental property. I would definitely say that.
Okay, what as far as the areas that and I think we talked about it a little bit last week, some of the areas that have the greatest potential. I know there's no way you're not a wizard, but has the greatest potential of being very profitable because of the current lack of truck parking in different markets around the country. What would you say to be the probably top 5 markets that has the probably needed the most, which means obviously more opportunity, if you can find a location?
Yeah, it's probably going to be LA, Long Beach. So Southern California, really anywhere around Southern California, probably going to be good. Dallas,
Okay.
Chicago, New York City, Newark area. Orlando,
Anything up?
Central Florida.
Yeah, I was about to say in Florida. What
Central Florida.
about in the Midwest? Anything out there that's needs attention?
I mean, in the Midwest, you don't necessarily get a lot of complaints, but even in the Midwest, there's always going to be a need. Um, and so having a location in the Midwest that maybe is where you can drop a trailer or leave a truck and trailer for a period of time is could be very helpful to a group of people, and then over time they will ultimately may you know I would say it's likely that you would develop a customer base that would like to use your location. Just because there isn't it isn't directly looked at as a market that has an issue. I wouldn't dismiss it, really. um, we get the thought would be like you wouldn't get bookings in rural areas, right? And we do all the time. So we continue to be surprised by demand in areas that we didn't think there was a shortage or anything, but there's still a need and a convenience. And what's it saving you if you can find, if a trucker can find parking an hour faster? What is that convenience worth?
What does it work to them? As far as and I get this question often. Well, how much can I charge for this space? And yeah, I guess that's where you all's expertise will come into play. Could you take us through that on how you'd maybe determine a price point on daily parking anyway?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, we just have a lot of experience in markets, and we probably have locations that are similar, maybe not even on the similar side of the U.S., but maybe a similar type of suburb that we can price it off of. You're from a very high level. Your rural areas are going to be 10 to 15 a day. And as you go more suburban and then even more dense than that, you're looking at 20 to 25. And then with really dense areas with a huge need, you're looking at 30 plus. So those markets that I just mentioned are really 30 plus type markets per day. So on average, you're looking at like $20 a day, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Now, if someone, okay, so and I know just we're going to assume that someone has an acre that's a perfect rectangle or a square. Um, if what's the range of trucks that can be placed there? And I know it makes a difference if you lay the property out with parking spaces and lines is one thing versus without lines. Well, what should be their expectations if you actually put the time into it to lay out the parking, or if it's already may already be done that way, but without lines and without lines or without boundaries.
Yeah. So I would say 15 to 20 trucks an acre is a very just with no lines is an easy way to think about it.
Okay.
Um, if you have it well organized and arranged and thought out, it's 30. Um, but I would say we have a lot of locations that do not have lines and they do very well. So I wouldn't I wouldn't hold up a deal thinking that you have to have lines to get a few more trucks on it. I really wouldn't think about it like that. I would, if it doesn't have lines, I would get the business, get it going, getting bookings, and say, okay, I've maximized the space with no lines. Let's add some lines, and we'll make it even better. But I wouldn't go out of my way to stripe a location.
Okay. All right. As far as uh, some people have asked the question to me about security. In most cases, unless the property was already set up for that, that's not an expense that you want to probably even entertain. Or am I thinking right on that?
Yeah, I wouldn't I wouldn't worry about it. Um, you know, it, at some point, it's possible you'd want to start thinking about it, but I wouldn't. I wouldn't worry about it too much. It's kind of you're really starting an entirely different thing at that point.
Hmm.
Where I would say if you're parking, if you get to the point where you're parking a large number of trucks, 50, 100, 150, then maybe at that point that's something you can consider because you can afford it. But I just wouldn't. I wouldn't worry too much about it in the beginning.
Okay. All right. We do have a question here from Cook Off the Chain podcast. Interesting. All right. What's up, Flip Man? I'm in the Atlanta metro area. How do I go about searching for vacant trucking lots?
Um, so kind of what we talked about earlier, close to interstates, vacant type lots that trucks can adequately access and drive on. So that's going to be at a minimum gravel asphalt with access points that make sense. That's not near retail, active retail, um, not near residential, with no active foot traffic. Near interstates in the Atlanta area. That's how I would think about it. Near interstates.
Okay. As far as dealing with owners, well, we have another question. Yeah, I don't want to hear me talk. All right. Let me read it for. I have a couple of play. Okay, here we go. All right. Hello, Ty, and everyone. Ty, if we have a couple of places like I do for trucks to park, do you say that if we don't have the owner info, that you can give you the location, you will find the owner info right number? Yeah, if you do that, I'll if you email me over it, um, I'll I'll do my best to get a phone number where you can reach out to them. And speaking of owners, what would you say are some of the number one concerns or objections that owners will have? They may be interested, but what's some of the normal objections?
It's a good question. I think one of the biggest questions is typically going to be liability. They're thinking that they're signing themselves up for liability, and it definitely that is not actually the case. Um, because through our terms of use on Truck Parking Club, the host and Truck Parking Club are released from liability. And on top of that, no truck parking locations in the US take liability of any kind. And they typically remove that liability through the terms of use. So they are not signing themselves up for any more liability than they would if it's just sitting there. So that would be one that comes up. Thinking that the property is gonna be trash, which we honestly don't really get complaints about, but that's a common one that is brought up. Another one is probably that there's like this concern that they're not going to that people are going to park there for free. That there's this odd thing where people are just very, very, very concerned about that. And I would say, we have 113 locations, and it doesn't happen nearly as often as what you would think. So I would say those concerns are overstated.
Okay.
And I would, you can spend a lot of time trying to find one person, or you can worry about getting more locations. Like you can spend a lot of time trying to find one person parking wrong, or you can just focus on getting more locations. And we have a lot of locations that run themselves.
Okay. All right. Someone needs to hear this is the handle. I ran my proposal by a guy who turned out to have 6 acres of undeveloped land, and he wants me to get bids and come up with a cost to turn the site into truck parking. I'm starting on it today. One of Evan's many hats is he's an engineer, and so any suggestions on him looking into that, if the guy is serious about obviously doing it, he needs to put a proposal together. What would you say would be the steps for him to do that? What would be the first thing?
Yeah. I guess the first thing I would say is
Zoning.
you're signing it. I would say the very first thing I would say is you're signing yourself up for a very long process. Developing that undeveloped property is going to take 24 months. So these things take time and they're complicated. And my next thing would just be, you're going and you're taking the time to get bids and things for this person. Like, what is that relationship? Because what you're doing is becoming a developer's rep or an owner's rep, and that's going to take a lot to do it right. That's going to take a lot of time, and it'll be a good experience though. With those two things aside, I would say if you are interested in doing it, you're going to find site contractors in the immediate area in that municipality that the property is in, and talk with them about the property and talk to them about getting some type of high level bid on the property. I think that would be the first real step where you might be able to get some numbers without too much effort, where they might just throw you some high level numbers. But what you're about to embark on is a long process just to get a real cost on a real development cost on it, is going to take money to find that cost. So these things are pretty complicated, and I think it wouldn't hurt to call some site contractors and try to get some high level numbers, but they're going to start asking you a lot of complicated questions. And what I would do is just be very honest with them. hey, I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm just trying to learn, and they have 6 acres. And can you just give me a ballpark per acre on what it's going to be to make it truck parking in this area? And they're going to throw you a high level number. But to actually get any numbers that are anywhere close, you're going to have to spend quite a bit of money to figure out what the cost is actually going to be.
Yeah.
Um, and so,
If what people don't understand about development, you'll spend money just to see that you don't want it.
exactly.
That you don't want
Yeah.
to do it. Yeah.
Been there. Been there. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So the real JC from YouTube says, I know the perfect spot for this. I passed it for a couple of years, but didn't act because the lack of knowledge in that area. Now it's listed with a realtor. Any recommendations?
Um, I would say, I think we talked about this the last time. I would
Well,
probably just go ahead.
it seems like, and I know you probably, I think you briefly mentioned it to me through one of our conversations. Seems like agents would be all over something like this, right? But I guess the biggest thing with them is, how am I going to get paid, right? And if that part of it can be figured out, which probably just think through it, it probably wouldn't be a big deal. Then I think it would increase the opportunities out there. But because a lot of times owners are do it, it's just they've hired this broker to list a property for them, and that's another influence on the decision maker, whether the owner may ignore the broker or not, but it still could be an influence because they hired them to sell their property or to lease it.
Yeah.
But what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I would say you paint it to them in a way of, hey, we're not tying it up, so you can continue to try to lease or sell the property. In the meantime, we can park trucks on it, and I think part of the selling point is we're going to make it more likely that you get it sold because possibly the buyer of that property would want to park trucks on it.
Mm,
And now you've shown them that it's possible. So that may be the way that you sell it. Hey, we're going to make it more likely. I was talking with one of my guys, I guess that was yesterday or day before, and some guy is trying to get into the truck parking business, found out about us, is trying to sell the property simultaneously. And we're like, hey, we'll show you how to do it. We'll get you set up and we'll get it running. We'll park more trucks on it and we'll make it very pretty to a buyer. So,
yeah. Okay. All right. Chantel Lawrence, YouTube. And we sort of answered this before, but we'll answer again. Because we have a few more people to come on since we probably answered it. This is my concern. Truckers trying to park for free. How do you monitor that? By a gate that you need to use a QR code for it to open?
yeah, so that's very commonly when you're getting into the business, that is a huge concern by people. And before we started this business, it was a huge concern. Um, but ultimately, they're doing this a lot. It's not actually that big of a deal.
Mm,
Having over 100 locations, it actually doesn't happen as often as you would think. So I would, and for me, you know, that initial thought is just you don't know what you don't know, and it's just one reason to consider pursuing it, and then immediately tell yourself everyone's going to just try to park for free, and I'm not going to do this because it doesn't make any sense. And I can understand that point, but I'm telling you right now, we run a lot of locations that run themselves, and very few people with the proper, if you have the proper signage, very few people actually try to park for free. It's just
Okay.
it's not as common as you would think, and it's I think it's a book. Honestly, I think that is just like a mindset shift about not everyone's trying to steal, not everyone's bad,
Mm-hmm.
and that a mindset shift of like you can do this,
Yeah.
and it's not, you don't have to go out and invest in an expensive gate and automated QR codes and all these things. You don't have to do that. I'm sitting here telling you we have locations with no gates that run themselves,
Mm.
essentially. Do
Yeah.
people, does some small percentage get parking for free? Possibly, but the property owners aren't really worried about it. They keep their property maintained, and they make good money.
Mm.
So I, I wouldn't let that be my reason to not do this.
Mm.
I really would.
All right. Someone says everyone hit the button. D-Tech guy, I agree. Um, this is more of a compliment, but I'm gonna compliment you back. Nail leg flip. Can't thank you enough for sharing value info. I started my business back in 2018 after my first deal at wholesale. Netted 20K. Learned from you. Keep up the good work. Yeah, man. It's just the info is just a tool. It's worthless if you don't use it. You're what made it happen. You just took some information as I did years ago and you applied it. But hats off to you and thank you for joining us for this opportunity. Flip man for president. You think we've had previous presidents with skeletons in their closet? I'm going to need a house.
Let's.
But anyway, somebody said surveillance lock. Okay, so thanks for the idea. Literally about to pass it now. Number. All right. Someone says that broker issue is a problem. I'm running in two perfect locations. Oh yeah, there's a lot of listed perfect locations. That is an understatement. They're good, but trust me, as many listed locations that are perfect. There, I don't even know how the quantity times that are not listed that are perfect. Also,
Yeah,
it's just
exactly.
you have to reach out to those owners and see if they're interested in generating some revenue on a property that's more than likely costing them money. And that's the thing is dealing with. These are investors, right? Just remember, if someone owns a piece of commercial property, unless they inherited the property, they're investors. They want to make money. And you'll often see like, wow, this property is sitting here for 10 plus years. And if you go as far as I'll go sometimes, you'll look at what the tax bill on that is each year. You know what I'm saying? So obviously it's been probably wrote off in some form, but they still would prefer income on that property. And they have no clue on how to generate that at this point. And you could
Yeah.
be that solution for them. Anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, I think, being wholesaling and flipping houses myself for a few years, not so long ago. um, you have this is a completely different mindset. I think I think it's similar in terms of work ethic.
Yeah.
You gotta, you gotta work hard. You gotta hustle, and from that you will be rightfully rewarded. But the value proposition in providing truck parking to truckers and helping a property owner make money on their location without leasing it or selling it to you is a value add. It's a win-win situation where I can assure you that property owners are interested and they're not trying to go around you. They're not trying to, um, you know, take, you know, they, it, I would say that a lot of them want to hear from you with that value proposition. They may not know about it. They may not know it exists, but I'm sure once you explain to them, if you do a good job of explaining to them, they're actually going to be very interested. So I would just switch the mindset a little bit. That it's not I can assure you they will be like, even if they don't want to do it, they're going to say, man, that is cool. I never thought about that before in my property, but I'm not ready for it today. But they're not going to say, screw you, bye. They're gonna be like, wow, okay, yeah, I'll keep that in mind. It's not something I want to do right now. And that person you would reach out to in 90 days.
Yeah, follow back up. Follow up is everything.
Yeah, exactly. So I would, yeah, I would just switch the mindset a little bit. And I would say on top of that, like, on the other side of it, truckers aren't trying to just like steal everything from you, like, as well. Just don't let those ideas about this business like stop you from going out and doing it. And also on top of that, like, the brokers don't, the brokers may actually want to do business with you too. Maybe not on that property, but maybe they know other properties.
Correct.
So go ahead.
And yeah, they may have a property, like say other properties, maybe a property that's not listed, but they just know an owner that they've tried to sell a property for before, and they just couldn't get anyone to take it on because no one could figure out what a use would be for it. But for this, It may be like just, wow, perfect. Exactly. Or whatever. So, at the end of the day, offers are free. Exactly. You make the offer. So,
I think this is a volume game.
Yeah, it's a volume game. Yeah. And so I think one of the things is that, like, the guy that said, someone needs to hear this. He said that that broker issues a problem running into with perfect locations. So I'm pretty sure. Well, no, it could be offline or online, but I think a lot of people are looking online because they'll probably look for warehousing and things of that nature. And I'm tinkering with it, and I think I'm close. I'm going to have a method of being able to search online. It's going to be tedious, but it's going to be worth it because a lot of people just want to search online, and it's somewhat difficult to tell if something is, even though Google Maps may show it's occupied, it may be vacant, and sometimes it'll show it's vacant and it's occupied. But I'm tinkering with some stuff, and I think I'm gonna have something here in the next week or two to allow you to actually search for it. At least increase your chances and broaden your scope to search for things. But ideally, like Evan has mentioned before, you just drive your local market because you're already familiar with it, and some stuff you probably have forgotten about. You just have to get outside of your comfort zone sometimes when you're driving around. And you may be amazed at what you may find, especially if you live near a freeway. You may just start just driving and just, like tomorrow, Saturday, you might just drive and say, hey, I'm going to go 50 miles in both directions and just get off every exit. You know what I'm saying? And go maybe a quarter of a mile or a half a mile down each direction. And who knows what you may find, so.
Exactly. And I would say, I would guarantee everyone on this call has a location that is adequate for truck parking that is currently not being used for truck parking. I guarantee everyone on the call has one of those types of locations within a few miles of them. I'll make that bet.
Wow. Yeah. Wow.
I would say everyone does. Let's say you're very rural. You still have you have a location. I guarantee you have a location. Let's say you're in the middle of a big city. I guarantee just outside on the outskirts of that city, you have a location. I would say it's highly likely.
Okay. All right. What's going on, Trouble? Just saying what's up. I'm not sure what this other person's name is. Suki Kun. Last name Kun. Just what's going on. Yeah, soak it up. And we have one right here. So Chantel, again, a banquet hall has been closed for years, has a nice sized parking lot close to a major highway. Would like to partner with you once I contact the owner, need review your script first and business plan to show. So yeah, if you go to truckparkingcashflow.com, submit your info. You can, get a general idea on how to have that conversation with an owner. But the banquet hall may work. Who knows? Let me see. I don't think I have anyone that posted another question. Let me see. As far as the the lots should be 24/7, 365 in most cases, correct?
Yeah, those are going to be the ones that do the best.
All right. Someone sent me over one say, well, what about just a weekend? If an owner said, well, they could park here on the weekend because we don't have the activity of whatever the situation is for that property. Do you have anything on your network like that where they only allow weekends?
Yeah, we have some that only allow weekdays, and we have some that only allow weekends.
Okay.
It's worth a shot. It's a volume game.
Yeah, it's a volume game. Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
you may find some drivers that may only need something on the weekends, and it works for them. It doesn't hurt. It's not going to hurt anything to get that location and put it out there. Put it on Truck Parking Club and advertise it to thousands and thousands of truckers. And the cost is just your time to put it on the platform, which is not a ton. And let's say it ends up being a great spot, you're gonna do well. So, what's the downside?
What's the downside? Yeah. As far as do you all do vans or you ever get any of that activity? Like people with I know this is an extreme, but like Amazon, or you may have a company that has multiple vans in their fleet and they just don't really have the parking. Do you have anything like that? Or do any of those access your platform that you're aware of?
We do get some vans.
Okay. The
A
box
few.
trucks.
We get a lot of box trucks.
Okay. All right.
A lot of them. And so we have locations that have spaces that are less than 75 feet, so 75 feet is a tractor trailer.
Mm-hmm.
We have locations that are 60 feet, 50 feet. I think we may even have one that's shorter than that. And box trucks use those all the time.
Okay. Someone says, do you have this is Chantel again. She says, do you have an option? Do you have any truckers that have an option to prepay for a month at a time to park? Because you have monthly options. So, but go ahead. I'm sorry, answer that.
Yeah. Everyone prepays.
Okay. All right.
Every payment is prepay. So you book the location before you park there every time. That's how our system works. And what we see is someone will book it a day ahead of time, and then they'll show up that next day.
All right. This is a good one. LT. Do we represent our own business entity when talking to owners or as a representative of Truck Parking Club?
You talk to them as yourself, your own entity, your own person. You're the operator, you're the business. So it's like, think about it like this. So there's a lot of people that manage Airbnbs, probably some people even on this call. And those people don't represent Airbnb, right? They represent themselves as a management company, and they build their own reputation as a great manager, and then they get a lot of business, right? So it's the same thing in this scenario, except they're called operators because this is a little bit different business, and I think operator, the word operator describes the position more. So you would be representing yourself and your own brand, and you would build that brand, and I'm sure I'm sure property owners would tell their friends around town that they're having a good experience and they're getting a good check every month. And then you have referrals and you have case studies, and you can show people that here's what I did with this property. I can do the same with your property. That's what I would. That's what I would do.
What would you suggest as far as the maintenance of the property? How often should someone probably check on it? Would it be daily, or what do you think? And I know it's going to vary depending on the size, the activity, or whatever of the property. But if you could just give any tips on just the maintenance of the property.
Um, I would say it is going to be a case by case basis, and in the beginning, I would, you know, I would be checking it often, and
Okay.
then see how it goes.
Mm,
Like I've mentioned a couple of times here, we have locations that kind of run themselves,
mm,
um, and they don't actually have to be checked all that often. Now, will your first location work out just like that? I can't say. Who knows? Maybe it takes a little more operational maintenance. Maybe it doesn't. So you as the operator are going to have to learn your property and see how it goes. But I think it's highly unlikely it's going to be operationally intensive because we handle so much of it for you.
mm. Okay.
We've automated
Um,
so much of the process.
are you aware of anyone that because you all are keeping the record of the transactions? I know you only been in business for a bit, but has anyone ever sold a location that you're aware of, and you all had to go through the change of operator slash owner?
It's a good question.
Because that's going to eventually happen where someone may have, that's part of the reason they can get whatever price that they're getting because they can prove the income that is generating.
Yeah, no, we've never had that happen.
Okay.
Um, I I don't know. I think there's a lot of different scenarios that can happen there. I think it's possible that the property owner would just take it off Truck Parking Club on the sale. I think it's possible that the new owner would just switch over and leave it on there because of how good of a job is being done. I mean, the scenarios can go a lot of different ways. But switching someone over is not that big of a deal. I mean, if they want to do it, it's going to be a fairly simple process. So, um, yeah.
Okay. All right. Jay Williams, I'll put it on the screen here. Jay Williams says landowner insists on leasing the property for 5,000 a month per acre, or 3,500 per acre each. He says that getting the traffic there is my responsibility. Of course it is, but go ahead. So I guess he's asking, should he even entertain something like that? So
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be up to you and the risk you are willing to take on it. And if you think it's a good location, I would say I'm not. No, that's just not what we do, and that's not what we entertain. Um, so I don't know. Um, there's there's a lot more information I would need to know, but that's just not something we really give advice on, to be honest. We're not really, you know, showing people how to lease a property. I would say getting someone, sounds like not that person, but someone else that $0 per acre to lease is probably a better scenario. So I would
mhm.
say just keep looking at. I mean, and just knowing markets, 3,500 an acre, it better be a great market to make money back on that one.
Okay. Um, Here's a question here. I might have missed it, but with this conversation, are we just getting the interest of the person? I mean, I guess they mean the owner, and then getting in contact with either you guys to seal the deal.
So you as the operator, you're handling that side of it. You have the relationship with the property owner. We have no relationship with the property owner. You guys do, right? That is your job as the operator. And then you put the location on the platform. It's just like a manager of an Airbnb. Think about it like that. Airbnb isn't closing the deal with the property owner, right? The manager is coming in and saying, I can do it for this amount of the total income, and I will manage the property in entirety, and I will just give you a check at the end of every month for whatever is rented. And it's the same scenario. It's the same exact scenario. We're not we have no contact with the property owner. That is your job, and to make that relationship and get the terms of the agreement, whatever that is between you all. And then you, as the operator, you are adding the location to Truck Parking Club.
Okay. All right. Nail Leg, I see your message there about the 123 units. You'll just have to email me on that. Ty at dealulator.com, dealulator.com. All right. Let me see. All right. All right. This guy says just passed potential location is listed at 3.989 acres and zone GC. Hopefully, when you say 3.89 acres, that it's already developed in some sort, either gravel, paved, or your asphalt millings, whatever. So I'm assuming. Well, I hope that's what the situation is. All right. All right. So this is a question here from James Johnson. Hey fellas, what happens if someone has paid for parking and get there and no parks are available because others have parked for free? Interesting.
Yeah, it's a good question. So first off, that's going to be your responsibility as the operator to handle that situation. We rarely have situations like that happen. With proper signage, it really doesn't happen. So, but if it does happen, you would have to refund the person that paid because they're not getting what they paid for. And then you will go to that trucker, whomever it is that is parked there for free, and say, it is, this is paid parking only. Um, you book on Truck Parking Club, you can go and pay for the parking space here. I mean, that's going to be the easiest way to resolve it. But with proper signage, it rarely happens.
Hmm.
It rarely happens. But in that scenario, you immediately refund the person and that isn't getting the parking that they paid for, and yeah, then really having like some type of simple flyer or something to give to the person that is parking there without paying, something that just explains like how the process works, and that they're actually taking a spot from someone else that's paid, and explain it to it. Like, I really doubt you're gonna have any issues. Um, I really doubt it, and yeah, you know when you get one of those scenarios, and if it goes any further than that, would love to hear it, because we just don't ever hear about stuff like that happening, to be honest.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good one. All right. Okay, this is a good question. Interesting. More on the maintenance side of things. Brother Thomas here. Well, welcome aboard. Have you had any problems with oil spillage? Any cleanup?
We have not. We've never had any issues like that. I'm sure some type of oil spillage happens, but these are locations where it really is not going to be surprising. If you're at a location where some type of oil spill happens, and it's going to be a problem, it's going to be a significant problem, then you don't have the right location. These are typically going to be industrial type locations, where some type of, I'm not saying like a whole tanker, like that's gonna be a big problem everywhere, anywhere
Mhm.
you're at. That's a hazmat problem. But you know, some type of oil spillage. If you're using a location where the property owner is worried about that, then you don't have the right location for sure.
Yeah. All right, James Johnson again. Also, do you provide signs show paid parking only? Violators will be told with your website visible to allow everyone to know how to sign up.
Yes, for locations that are on the platform, we will ship you signs.
Okay, boom. That's lovely. All
Yeah,
right. Yeah,
if it's
that's
an
awesome.
approved location. Um, so that means that the location has went live, everything is good, we have approved the property, and we are not going to send you signs before the property goes live. So it's going to be a property that's fully approved. So if your holdup is you're waiting on us to send you signs before you submit your property, yeah, that's not the right order of processes. We're not going to just ship signs just because you asked for them. We're going to ship you signs because it's an approved property, and we know we have approved it because we know it's an adequate property for truck parking, and you know, therefore that's the reason it's on our platform. And at that point, we will ship you signs.
Okay. Uh, this is, I guess they're asking me. Bear say, so is looking for truck parking lots a better time investment instead of wholesaling self-storage facilities? All right, they're different, but both things can be true. What prevents you from doing both? The thing about it is that with one, the truck parking, you could literally start making money from it this week, whereas the self-storage, even if things is going perfectly, it's still probably a minimum of 30 days, probably more like 2 months to 3 months away from a payday. So, but nothing prevents you from pursuing both of these opportunities.
Yeah, think about it like this. We have plenty of self-storage locations on our platform.
I was going to go into that. Yeah.
So what if the property owner says, no, I'm not interested in selling, and you say, looks like you got an acre of land out there that's empty. Why don't we put it on the platform? What about that?
Boom. There you go. There you go. All right. Pay parking 18 or do we just put parking, or do we just list the trucks? All right. So I think we saw the answers, but I think they asked it in a different way. Me again on the sign. Do we just put paid parking for 18 wheelers, or do we just put paid parking, or do we give a list of trucks that can park there? That's where Evan said they're going to send you signage, but if you can explain that.
Yeah. So we'll send you signage, and it just makes it very clear that it's reserved parking only. And it will have our phone number, customer service number, and our website on it. And it's very clear that this is paid parking only. So I wouldn't worry about any of that. I wouldn't worry about the signs at all.
All right. The real JC says I'm familiar with the lot. It's right on the highway. It used to be a gas station. It is an asphalt lot. I know it's a great location because truckers literally park just outside on the highway exit.
Okay.
So yeah, that's a good
That sounds like a
indicator.
winner.
Sounds like
Sounds
a
like a
winner.
winner.
Might get a few trucks on there. All right. What else we got here? Okay, interesting, good one. Should we contact the municipality before we contact the owner, if allowed, even though it's industrial? It's in an industrial area. Um, Bro Thomas.
Contact the municipality. Why are you contacting the municipality? To what? uh, to do what? Because I mean,
I
go ahead.
I guess they. I guess a lot of these. I guess they're asking is the zoning will permit the truck parking. Is I guess that's what they're asking.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, you just said it's an industrial area, so I don't know. I I would say if it's already an industrial area, I don't see there being any problem. So like what I've learned from dealing with municipalities for a long time, and I'm sure Ty has learned as well. If you go to a municipality, you're gonna get someone that answers questions all day long about zoning, and then
Mhm.
they're gonna look in their code book, and that code book for almost every municipality is available online that you can go look at yourself. But if they don't understand your question, or they uh, aren't having a great day, or
Yeah.
they are afraid of losing their job, the answer is going to be no.
Mhm.
The answer is going to be no. That doesn't even mean the answer is actually no. It just means if I say yes and the answer is actually no, they will get it. For them in their position, they will get in trouble. So the easier answer is always no. I've been told no, not just with truck parking, but with land deals I used to do. I would be told no all the time, and then turns out that's not actually the case.
Mhm.
So I mean, if you want to, like, it's kind of like going, um, yeah, it's going to them and really saying, this is in an industrial area. There's probably trucks parking on it or around it already. Tell me why I can't do this. And I promise you, there will be a reason that you can't do that. So I don't know. Like I wouldn't, if it's a completely industrial area, I just wouldn't worry about it. I mean, what's your downside of being wrong on zoning, which it sounds like you're not, um, is that it's obviously zoned industrial already, but let's just say there's some weird thing where it's not, that you can't park a truck on that location. Your downside is going to be the municipality comes to you and says, yes, I see there's trucks parked everywhere around this property or even on this property, but we don't want you to park trucks here. And then at that point, you quit parking trucks there. So I don't like, yeah, I don't know. What do you think about that, Ty?
Um, I guess a lot of it because the barrier to entry cost wise is so low. Even if you establish the location, you all can easily take it off the platform at any time. And if the city says, "Hey, we don't want trucks parked there," then it stops. You hadn't invested in most cases any money, and the owner hadn't invested any money into it. I'm not saying you're just going to be out there being a renegade, but
Yeah,
like I say, a lot of times you just call. If you call the city and ask for some, these are just government workers. Not saying just government, but there's in most cases no customer service, right? And it
the answer
should
is
be
no.
like it should be the ultimate customer service because you're paying their salary in most cases in some form or fashion
Yeah,
or whatever. So um, if the owner is good with it, we just let the chips fall. I hate to put that. I'll put it. Everybody I said, but I'll say it.
yeah,
What's the worst thing that happens when they say stop doing it? It didn't cost you
exactly.
anything. You're not
And
going to go
I
to
mean,
jail. You know what I'm saying? All they're going to say, hey, stop doing this. That's it.
yeah, and
Period.
and it's a case by case basis, right? So what was just told, what was just said was that it's in an industrial area.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a
So
perfect example there in a
yeah,
high
yeah.
area.
If you had said it's at an active mall, I would say, yeah, yeah, call the municipality and check it out. But I know what the answer is going to be before you even call it. The answer is going to be no.
Mm-hmm.
Um, if you had said it's just up the street, it is adjacent to a residential subdivision, I would say, yeah, yeah. Even if it's zoned properly in that scenario, if you're up against a house, like, good luck. Um, in that scenario, I would say, yeah, call the municipality. The answer is probably going to be no. But in the particular scenario that was just given, I mean, yeah, you're calling someone that the best answer that they can ever give you is no. And if they're unsure, they're going to say no.
Mm. Okay.
So
All right. Someone asked, how can I get access to the script that I put together? Just text the word semi, SEMI, to 205-964-5243. It's here on the screen. Text semi, like semi truck, but SEMI to 205-964-5243. All right. I'll take a couple of more. Chantel said, better ask for forgiveness than permission. Oh, boy. All right. I think that was the last statement right there that we got so far. Anything you want to add, Evan, before we get out of here for this week?
Yeah, so I mean, ask for forgiveness, not for permission. I mean, like, I think there's some truth to that, right? Like, I think because in these scenarios, like let's apply what she just said to the example that was just given. In that scenario, I think that completely applies, because it can very easily be argued that there is no issue for truck parking at that location. Let's say it's in an industrial park of some kind. Like, you're gonna be
Trucks are
fine.
in and out all day.
You're gonna be fine. You're gonna be fine. Like, and so I wouldn't worry about calling a municipality and like nailing them down on it, because they're gonna say it's I-2 instead of I-3, and yeah, there's trucks parked on it, but we just can't do that. And then you're just gonna be like, what are you talking about? And so in that scenario, I would just keep rolling. But in the cases of where even no matter what the zoning is, it just doesn't make sense. Active commercial, active retail, active residential. Yeah, just don't in those scenarios, because that doesn't make sense for your business. Like, even if you can pull it off, like, it doesn't make sense for the business. So I wouldn't do it. So I think, yeah, just use common sense about it. And if you have questions, I know you got a couple people right here that we would be more than happy to talk through what's going on with the property. Most
definitely. All right, guys. Again, it's truckparkingclub.com. We got Evan Sheila here, founder, CEO of this opportunity. Again, if you want the script lingo that I put together, have a conversation with owners, just text the word semi to 205-964-5243. Anything else you want to share, Evan, before we get out of here?
No, I think I know we've had a few properties come through. I know we've had some that look like winners. I would just say, whenever you get an agreement done with the property owner, whatever that agreement is, go ahead and put it on Truck Parking Club, and we'll get you going. Don't be afraid. This is a volume game. Just find as many good properties as you can. There's no mistake. Like, I see a lot of comments about, like, worried about what the owner's gonna say, or the owner's gonna like know that they're new or whatever. I'm like, who cares? Like, no one is a veteran of this industry. No one. No, I mean, arguably a handful of people in the whole U.S. are veterans. So it's okay. Your downside is very low. So just get out there and talk to a bunch of people. That's all I got.
Boom. All right. So hopefully answered a lot of questions, guys. If you didn't get it in the start here when we started at around 1, a little after 1, you can watch the replay over again. So remember, for more info on dealing with owners, just text SEMI, SEMI to 205-964-5243. We really appreciate Evan sharing his time again. Stepped away from he was at a conference. And as always, like to say, guys, make this happen, and we'll see you on the FLIPSIDE. Thanks.
Flip man, it's the flip man. You want some money in your hand? Flipping houses without credit or your cash. Get that bag.